Hey there! Welcome to Healthy and Whole Summit, a wellness series on how to live your best life now. I am Melissa Adams and I will be your host. So, the vision for the summit is to give you, the listeners, a holistic view on what health looks like so that you can make the proper decisions where you are empowered and educated to make the best decision for your lifestyle so that you can be the best you. Today, I am joined with Angela Atkins, a certified as an integrative health and nutrition coach, a nutritional therapist, an advanced clinical weight loss specialist, a lifestyle coach, and a hypnotherapy practitioner, serving many clients around the world. Angela is also recognized as a top health coach for the Howard and Arundel and Baltimore counties in the Maryland region. She's also been featured on Top Doctors, which airs on CNN Headline News, Fox News, Oprah Winfrey Network, Bravo, MSNBC, and other networks. As the founder of Your Health Unbound, Angela is dedicated to empowering individuals to look at their whole health picture, equip them with the information they need to take control of their health, and be their own best health advocate. Many of our clients in the autoimmune spectrum living with chronic illness as well as weight loss issues. She is committing to guiding her clients to reach their goals using whole foods and natural solutions approach to resolve their health issues as well as reduce or even better eliminate the use of medication. Angela supports the client physically, emotionally, spiritually, and relationally, making sure that everything comes into alignment. So a very warm welcome to you, Angela, and thank you for joining me on this summit.
Well, thank you, Melissa. I'm very proud and pleased to be here joining with you on this perfect topic, healthy and whole. That's what we want people to be.
That's right. So just to kick off with the first question that I have, how did your health unbound start?
What actually started with my own health journey. Years ago, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and many other related illnesses that no one knew what was going on. At that time, and this is years and years ago, people didn't really know what fibromyalgia was, so they kind of lumped all your symptoms together, and they began sending me to different specialists. And because of that, what I was coming up with is every doctor was looking at me through their own lens. And so I was getting whatever the specialist was looking for, how does what I have relate to their specialty? And so instead of solving the problem for me as a whole being, it began to be whatever that part was. You know, a cardiologist would look how it affected my heart, a pulmonologist, how it would affect my lungs, and on and on. And what I wound up with is prescriptions saying, oh, you seem to have this, or you're being troubled by something else, such as you're depressed because you're not feeling well, here is an antidepressant. Or you're having trouble with reflux, here's, a proton pump inhibitor. And this just went on and on until literally I was on about 20 different medications, and it literally made me worse because my body doesn't handle synthetic products well. I have trouble with those chemical reactions in my body. So I felt like I was bound by all these external forces that were keeping me sick. And that's when I started going down the path of maybe it's something else. Maybe it's not all these little things. There's something bigger. And I stumbled onto the fact that nutrition was the biggest issue. And I started researching, and believe me, there's so much out there. You don't know what is right and what is wrong. But I had to figure out for myself what was going to help me. And that's how I discovered it. I really released myself from all the chains that were binding me and they were medications and all these simple diagnoses based on symptoms, and not looking at me as a whole person. And when I did, nutrition got me where I am, and I felt like my life was unbound from those things that were holding me back. And so that's how I came up to looking at the whole philosophy of Your Health Unbound. Let's find a way to uniquely get you where you need to be, where you're not bound by, you're not described or limited by your symptoms or by the medications that you're on. Let's look at the bigger picture and look at you and get you where you need to be.
Okay. All right. So you felt that you needed to help other people because of what you went through. They don't need to go through the same thing. Because
exactly.
yeah, so living with this autoimmune illness that I had, lupus, it's taken me 23 years to actually realize, hello, you need to pay attention to what you eat. You need to move more to get your body stronger. But it really, I don't know why it takes us so long to click. I don't know if it's because the information out there is not in our face, or it's not enough, or if they haven't developed it to a level that we can just grab and run with it, or or we're just blatantly happy just to take our medications and go on with life. And I think with you trying to help that, it's helping many other people to see the big picture and see what suits you best.
And that's exactly it. I think one thing that has stymied us from moving forward is these years that we've had in what I consider the dark ages of medicine, whereas a doctor looking at your symptoms and prescribing a medication. And to me, that is what a medical doctor is trained for. I'm not faulting them that they go through medical school to learn to diagnose symptoms and treat them appropriately with medications. Yeah. What I'm thinking is now we're in that change. We're in that cusp of where we're getting doctors who are realizing people are a whole unit, and there are teams of doctors working together, and there are people working with natural specializations, looking at the whole body. And I think that's where it's going to make the difference. But we still have the issue of things like insurance, which limits the doctors how much time they can spend with you and what they can do for you. Because ultimately it's the insurance company that decides if they're going to pay for it. And like many people, I need to rely on my insurance to pay for what I need. We all can't just pay out of pocket for everything. So in order to do that, nowadays, doctors are using the services of health coaches and the like type of coaches to help broaden that experience, where they realize there is more than what they can do in the few minutes they have in their doctor's office. And they recommend, or, we're out there, many of health coaches are out there trying to offer our services, saying, we're here to be an adjunct to your doctor. We're not here to replace them. We're not here to diagnose, prescribe, or anything. We're here to support you in a natural way of living that will bring about your best health.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. That's the way to go, because whole and natural is probably the cheapest than going the medical route.
Exactly. That's so people don't understand. I hear people all the time telling me, oh, it's so expensive to buy organic food, or it's so expensive to do it. I'm like, would you rather pay for the food now and be healthy long term, or pay for all that medical stuff at the end and then have a really poor life quality near where you're supposed to be enjoying your life? Most people start feeling this by the time they're ready to retire. And that's my clients are typically professionals towards the end of their career, where they realize, man, I've been working so hard. Now I feel like crap. How do I feel better? Yeah. And so you look at that and say, you need to now invest in yourself, and you should be investing all along. But now that you're here, invest that money that you would have invested in those medical, whatever they are, the treatments or the prescriptions or all the other things, invested in really high quality food, and then you'll begin to treat yourself. It's an amazing turnaround. I know for me, within 6 months, I had reversed the pains that I had from the fibromyalgia, reduced the chronic fatigue to a level where I could work normal existence every day, and I lost 55 pounds. it was because the food I was eating was literally what was making me sick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Angela, in terms of your treatment and the clients that you have, what have you picked up or encountered the common issues among your clients were?
Well, most people don't realize that it is the food that they're eating that has the biggest effect. And then the next thing is our toxins. And I think they go hand in hand because some of our food is toxic. I mean, high levels of sugar, foods that have been sprayed with pesticides, all these things are toxicities that we're putting in our body, and they create a toxic level in us. And so if we remove that toxicity, we're looking at removing those things that will keep us sick and fat, because it's not simply just changing your diet if you do all the other things incorrectly, meaning you're still eating the wrong foods for you. And that's why I go down the path of what I call a nutrition prescription. It has to be specific for you because your body may not be able to tolerate it. And if it doesn't tolerate it, it could be considered a toxin to your body. For example, I have celiac disease. Did not know that. I grew up in an Italian household. There was a lot of pasta. Had no idea that feeling sick all the time wasn't supposed to be normal, but I was eating the wrong food for my body. So once you get people to learn that, and I hear that all the time, oh, I eat really well. And so we go through individually, and I'm like, how does that make you feel when you eat? And then the light bulb goes on. Well, that's the food that I always feel poorly afterwards. And so it's really a process of elimination and supporting with the healthy nutrients that they need. And almost without exception, every person that has gone through this has said to me, wow, I feel so much better. And it could be little changes or it could be drastic changes. It's what they need individually. And that's my goal, to help them find what they need. Because it's easier as a third party to look at your life and not feel all the emotions that go with it. Because a lot of times you have emotions wrapped around what you eat or what you put on your body. You're tied to a certain lotion, and you may not know that lotion has some chemical in it that your body's reacting to. So it's all those things. For me, primarily nutrition, and then everything that touches or goes into your body.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's important to have a health coach, because you take them through that steps of elimination. Because if I live my life, I just do what I do during the day, and I don't actually pay attention to the lotions or what I eat. I just get the food in my stomach and I move on with my daily tasks. But having a health coach and bringing that all into one place where you can actually think about it and realize, oh, okay, that makes sense. And that's where the expertise of a health coach really comes in handy, when you're trying to realize what is actually hurting your body and what's not.
Well, I have to say for myself, when I started out, I was so nutrition focused. I'm like, this is what, made me better. This is what turned my life around. And as I've seen clients over these years, I've learned more and more. And that's why I feel like it's really important for me to keep learning. And that's why you see all those different things that I've had added credentials to it. And it's not, I don't just take them for the certifications. I take them to help enlighten me how I can help my clients more. And what I found out is that the bottom line is we need to keep our bodies toxin free. And we have all sorts of fail-safe activities that go on our bodies. We eat certain things, and if it's toxic, our bodies pushes them off into fat cells. Here, I'm going to put this fat layer around it so it doesn't bother you. But you can only do so much of that before your body starts breaking down. It can't possibly contain every toxin that it has, and some toxins overwhelm the body. But people wonder, well, what do I do about these fat cells? I've got many fat cells, and people think of that in that terms, that fat is just layers and layers of cells together. Well, there are something in them. And then when we release that, normally we're releasing toxins. And that's why a lot of people think of detox to lose weight. Well, that's one way, but I look at it long-term. A detox shouldn't be a lifestyle. It maybe is a tool that you use, but once you get there, you need a tool that takes you permanently. And to me, that is what I call my nutrition prescription. Once you get there, you need a way to maintain that so you remain healthy and are not taking those toxins in your body or on your body.
Okay. And how long does it take for your clients to get to that point where they actually feel great, they feel better, and it is now a lifestyle?
Well, it's funny because it's unique, obviously, to each individual. But I've had people tell me in the first week or 10 days, wow, they feel great because now they've released whatever the major toxin is, their body's starting to respond. But as far as weight loss, it also depends on the person and how much they have to lose and how their body is acclimated to the food that they're eating. Typically, within 3 months, you'll see somebody really start to, hit their stride in weight loss. And those who have had serious overweight issues, I mean, we're talking 50, 100 or more pounds, in 6 months, they're turning it around. They're like, wow, I am on the road. Typically, I can see a client lose about 40 pounds in 6 months if they're diligent. And those who are really, determined and committed can lose more. But it's really the individual, how they feel about themselves, how much they're committed to it. But it's also about those other aspects of their life. It's not just about food. I mean, that's why I say I have those 4 pillars that I look at. The physical being the food they eat and how their body reacts. The emotional, because things that go on in your life affect. If you're overly stressed, it's going to hinder you trying to lose weight. It's going to hinder you feeling better. If you have pain, it may increase because you're overly stressed. Plus you have that spiritual point in your life. We're all spiritual beings, whether or not we have a religion or a faith. We are spiritual beings connected to the universe in some way. Some people think of it as energy. Other people have different names for it, but whatever it is, there is a spiritual component and we need to look at that. And then there's the relational. And even if you don't have a spouse or a partner, we are related to every person in the universe, and every person we come in contact with. We need to be our whole selves in order to bring the best out in ourselves, to have a good relationship and be true to who we are when we are with other people. So all that together helps you get further down the path to being healthy and whole.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, that's awesome. Awesome message there. Angela, what is the one strategy or tip for the audience that they can take away from what we are learning here tonight?
I think if you do nothing else, is you need to start reading ingredient labels. Well, no matter what it is, if it's a food, if it's just got a package and it's whole food, like meat wrapped, or vegetables in the produce aisle that are not treated, you can tell the difference in the produce aisle, because if it has a 4-digit PLU, that number that it tells whether it's organic or conventional. If it's 4-digit beginning with 4, it's conventional, so it's typically been sprayed with a pesticide. If it's a 5-digit beginning with a 9, it's organic. So learning those things, and that's just a quick thing, learning how to look at those things can help improve what you eat, which will help improve how you feel. In addition to that, looking at the ingredients on the stuff you put on your skin, or the supplements that you use, anything that's going to go in or on your body, read it. If it's got a chemical name to it, it is synthetic and your body may react poorly to it. But if it's all organic and it has nothing in it that doesn't seem to be a toxic substance, then it should be okay. But remember, organic sugar is still sugar. So don't think because everything says organic, it's still healthy for you. We have to come to that conclusion that you have to eat the best possible food. Even if it's organic, you still have to eat what is reasonably well for you.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's 100% correct. And in terms of the labels that you were mentioning, what other telltale signs or words on that label that should be a red flag, that can be a red flag?
Well, the one thing that's a red flag is when they list things that are not regulated, such as natural flavorings. There is no federal regulation that says what is in a natural flavoring. It could be any number of things. Anything with artificial dyes and coloring, there's really no reason for that. And again, excessive amounts of sugar. Now, the label doesn't always clearly indicate what sugars are. It's when it says sugar, it should have a total grams of that on the label, but there can be other things. There can be dextrose, maltodextrin, sucralose, I mean, on and on and on. And they're all sugars, and they're just adding they're using the different ingredients because it limits the amount of understanding that we have that it really is heavily laden with sugar. I've picked up products that have 5 different sugar names in it, and I go, how is this okay? And I put it back on the shelf, and then somebody will come behind me, and I have no hesitation in a grocery store saying, hey, did you know they're all sugars? And they kind of look at me. I'm like, I'm just trying to help, folks, because you need to educate people. And I've had people thank me for it. I also have people looking at me like, mind your own business, but that's okay too. So the one thing to do is understand how much sugar is in a product, because that obviously excess sugar is not good for us, and ingredients that are synthetic. If they have a dash ATE or a dash OSE, dash OSE is a sugar. So you have to learn what those chemical names are, and that will definitely help you. But I think there are also very positive things to look at nowadays. They now have the organic seal on them, or they have a GMO-free sticker on them. So those will be starting points. But again, just because it says that doesn't mean it's healthy. You have to look at the total package. Just because a chip says that it's organic and GMO-free, do you need those chips? Maybe you do every now and then. That's great. I'm not opposed to snacking as an occasional thing, but do you need it every single day? Again, look at it from a whole perspective.
Yeah. And what's your thoughts on gluten and lactose or dairy?
Well, with my clients, normally they are on that autoimmune spectrum, and because of that, their bodies are already inflamed. So we don't put any of that in our bodies. There is no gluten, no dairy, no sugar, just to start things out. And then we decide, based on the other symptoms, what else needs, it could be other things need to be removed and replaced. It's not, we just don't take stuff away. We replace it with really healthy nutrients. So I say, if you have any kind of symptom and you don't recognize it, you eat a certain food that either has, gluten or dairy, and you recognize that you don't feel well afterwards, try taking it out for a while and see if you feel better. And that's just the simple way of discovering if it's right for you or not. I truly believe gluten in today's society is different than it was years ago. I think it's a different manufacturing, different way that the wheat and everything is processed, that it's more difficult for us. We don't process gluten in our guts. And so some people get symptoms, some people don't, but I do think gluten is one of those factors that can be inflammatory.
Thank you for all of that valuable information. So I know you have a free gift for our audience. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. Leading along the same lines of what we just talked about, I have an ebook that I call Healthy Foods That Really Aren't. Advertising plays a big influence on people, what they eat and how their nutrition is. Many people get their nutrition information from television and commercials, which is unfortunate because they can spin things that make it sound like the food they're offering is healthy, and when it really isn't. So I have an ebook that describes these particular products in a general format to give you an idea. It's to help you be more informed as a customer.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure the listeners will really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for everything that you've spoken to us about. I've definitely learned something new. And listeners, I'm sure you're noticing a common trend about gluten, dairy, sugar, and that we can treat autoimmune diseases. And let's pay attention to our bodies so that we can have a better and full quality life. Thank you, and see you soon.